What's going on, guys? Good evening. Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to another edition of Trafford Talk. It is Trafford Talk Thursdays. The alliteration kind of works, kind of doesn't work. And as always, it's all right. It's all right. I'm still trying to make it sort of catch on. It's not bad. It's not bad. You know, maybe we think something else. We've got plenty to talk about in the world of Manchester United as per usual. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner. We are, as always, because it's our show, joined by James from the Muppeteers. How are you doing? Yeah, how are you doing, my friend? All good on this Thursday evening?
All good. Yeah, been a quiet week, a little bit, maybe some news now, but I'm doing well personally. It's all good. Everything's fine.
Yeah, and that's what we like to hear. That's the kind of mood and mentality we like to go into a weekend. That's an early start, particularly for you. My goodness me, it's an early start.
Oh my God, that's right. It's 5:30 a.m. I just remembered that because I need to preface this entire show with anything positive I say, I cannot be held accountable for what I say in the 2 hours after Saturday's game if it goes poorly, because the 5:30 a.m. ones kill me, and they are the ones where I will lose my mind temporarily. I'll go off, have a nap, spend a day, come back. I'm like, what was I so worked up about? And then, back to normal settings. So, just disclaimer here, okay? Don't hold me accountable for that.
That must be rough. You know what I mean? When you wake up that early, particularly with how we've played the last few years, you know what I mean? It's one thing if
and the early games have been the worst. Like, I think we've lost like 90% of the early kickoffs we lose. So it's bad. It's bad.
So you wake up, turn the TV on, you go, oh my God. And then maybe that's why sometimes when the team news comes out, you know what I mean? You go, look, I just don't have the patience for this. At this time of the morning, I don't have the patience.
Yeah, that is the reason. If it's like 7 a.m. and I'm just like, whatever.
The joys of being an international fan. How much fun. I'm sure many people in the chat can sympathise. We are going to be talking about Tottenham versus Manchester United in just a little bit. We're also going to be talking about Mainoo. Yes, again, alone for Fabrizio Romano, saying maybe the bit of the most obvious piece of journalism a little bit earlier on. So we'll be talking about that. Ruben Amorim had his press conference today. Last couple of weeks, he's been having them on Thursdays instead of Fridays. He had some interesting things to say, particularly about conceding goals, which is something I do want to talk about as well. He also responded to his former international teammate in Cristiano Ronaldo, who had a few things to say about Manchester United in round 2 of his interview with Piers Morgan. I don't know why he does it. And also we're going to be talking about Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes nominated for a big honour, and we'll be chatting about, is the Bruno hate still a little bit too much? We'll be chatting about that indeed. So plenty to cram into this hour. Let's start with Mainoo, Fabrizio Romano, doing his best. You know what I mean? Got to get that transfer traction in, even if we're not totally close to a transfer window at the moment. He says that Mainoo would still be open for a straight loan deal in January, but it depends on United. West Ham are offering Mainoo a guaranteed starting spot, while Napoli are looking for a midfielder, and Mainoo has been on their shortlist. Now, we continue to have this Mainoo conversation, James, because it's just not going anywhere. You know what I mean? The issue is it's not going anywhere. Sometimes with these other conversations that we have as fans, games happen, people get played, or people put in performances, or the manager kind of nips things in the bud, and you go, oh, okay, nothing's happening there. It's a bit of a non-story, a bit of a nothing burger. With Cobby, it's a little bit different, because when we are playing badly, he still struggles to get minutes. When we are playing well and we're going on a run of winning games, he struggles to get minutes. Even against Forest last weekend, he came on the pitch. What time did the game did he come on?
Did he?
Did he even come on?
I thought he didn't. He didn't make an appearance in that game because we didn't make a lot of subs in that game, right? They were riding it out. Yeah, it was just Mazraoui and Dorgu came on. Yeah, and that was about it. It was actually the first time we haven't subbed Casemiro in a long time, so it's unusual, but.
That makes the point even better, doesn't it? It makes the point even better that in a game like that, where you are chasing it, right? You are chasing it. You're chasing not only the equalizer, but then also the winner. He can't get onto the pitch. And that's why this story is seemingly not going anywhere. But of course, the natural reaction and pushback would still be, yeah, but when AFCON comes around, he'll have his moments. But I suppose the response from him might be, is that enough? Is a month's period of time where I'm going to be a key player enough for me to see out the season? What do you think?
It's complicated, isn't it? It's like it's a touchy subject to discuss too as well. I was talking about it the other day on the channel because it's like Cobby's rotation, and then the argument is made, well, yeah, but we're not rotating. That's true because we have one game a week in the Premier League right now. That's it. When are we supposed to rotate? You know what I mean? Like, when is rotate? You don't just rotate in the Premier League. Like, if you look at most teams when they're playing in the Premier League, they try to play their same 11 week after week after week. They try to nail that down and find it. You're not trying to make changes weekly in the Premier League. That's what the other competitions are for. And unfortunately, not blaming Cobby for this, but we did lose in the other competition in his only start of the season.
So you're saying,
right? So I'm saying it's his fault right now. No, but we did lose that game, unfortunately. And so, of course, that results in the fact that we have even fewer matches to rotate. It's also a really non-busy period of time. So there's AFCON, but there's also just the fact that it does get busier. December, January, February, we have no injuries, like literally nothing. That's a problem almost in a way. It's kind of a sum of so many different factors. We have one game a week. We lost in the League Cup, and we have no injuries.
And also, it's not as if, and maybe some could say it's difficult to get this momentum going, but when he's made the cameos, have they really warranted, a kind of return look, as if to say, well, you're forcing the issue here, sort of thing. It's kind of like they're kind of like, okay, and again, that's not totally on him. When you're not starting a lot of games, there's rustiness. Yeah. But as other people say, if you're not getting a load of opportunities, when you do get one, it's kind of upon yourself to maybe kick that door down a little bit as well. But then the other pushback, this is when it gets complicated. But then go back to, but he's competing with Bruno. How can you kick that door down? Is there a door to even be kicked down when it's Bruno Fernandes? The other position's Casemiro, and he's one of our best players at the moment, Casemiro, right? So what does he
Highest
do?
Goals per game of any midfielder.
Exactly.
What the hell?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So Cobby, does he just have to do what most professional footballers would do, which is just sit there, wait it out, and basically see what happens? But I suppose that's not a very satisfying answer to an issue that won't go away too.
But it has to be, right? I mean, because there isn't another answer. It's not like Bruno playing is unwarranted. He's been improving as the season. I thought he was really poor to start the season. He's been improving. He's been getting better every week, Bruno has. Settling into this deeper role. Each game, I think he's doing it better. Casemiro and Bruno is the only partnership we have that is producing regular, consistent results. We need them, It's like, if we start Cobby and we're losing games, it's not going to change. People aren't going to suddenly it's all forgiven. It's okay. It's okay. We drop back down to 15th place. You're playing Cobby Mainoo. We did that last year.
We lost, but it's all right. Cobby started.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. People think they will, but it's not, especially because we actually are kind of starting to win games now. I mean, 10 points from the last 12, and it's hard to look at that and say, yeah, you know what? But Cobby didn't start, so we're not going to be, doesn't count. It's like these are very. It's a tricky situation. But the fact of the matter is, he's 20, and I still look at it really bluntly and say, sit on the bench, work your way into the team, take the chances that you do get, and be patient. What else can you do? Because it's like, this is a decision every footballer has to make. You can go to a lower club and start weekly. But when you go to a big club, obviously the expectations are always going to be higher. You're going to be competing with better players every week. You're going to be competing with tougher players every week. The goal is a lot higher. This is why it's hard for young players at big clubs in general. And I think the right idea is just wait it out. There's nothing. What else can you do? I mean, Phil Foden is still in and out of the team, and he's won so much at this point in his career. Just wait it out and take your chances when they come.
It's one of those ones, isn't it, where in the grand scheme of things, and I suppose if you say to a 20-year-old, just wait a year, that is the longest time ever. A year? What am I supposed to do with that? But then it's one of those ones where you go like, yeah, but in like, let's say 2 years time, you're 22, you're still really, really young, got your whole career ahead of you.
Your whole career.
That's also a really long time in football. A lot can happen, you know
Yeah.
what I mean, in 2 years. So it's not the end of the world from that one. The big factor is it's the external pressure of it being a World Cup year. If it was either next year or last year, I don't even think this would be a discussion point. It would be, look, it's just a year. He's young. It's fine. But it's the fact that it's a World Cup year. The fact that it is this like North American World Cup and truly the eyes of the world are watching, you know what I mean? It's a big one. World Cups always feel big, but this one coming up next year for some reason just feels extra big. Again, I don't know if that's like the location of it, but it does feel massive.
The US is what it is, you know, in terms of influence.
Exactly.
On media and sports and all of that. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's going to be a massive one, and I think obviously because Cobby was so involved in the last international campaign with England at the Euros, there must be this feeling of, I could go from playing in the final to not being in the squad at all. How does that even happen? And then maybe with that, that's when you get some resentment from the player and his reps towards Manchester United, because it's a bit like maybe like, you've done this. You did this to me. I was playing for England, and now I'm not even in the squad. But at the same time, Man United might push back to him and say, "Look, you're 20. You still got time on your contract. We don't need to do anything, you know."
Yeah.
Which makes it this complicated issue that won't go away. But I don't think he goes to West Ham, by the way. Like I feel like the Fabrizio stuff about constantly linking him to West Ham smells very much like West Ham trying to. Their very best, because of course Cobby Mainoo would. They'll guarantee him a starting spot. Oh, really? At West Ham, have you seen their team? Of course, Cobby Mainoo would play every single week in that team, right? The Napoli one's a bit more interesting, I think, because obviously there's a couple of ex-United players there, so the links are strong. They're in the Champions League. They got a good coach, so I can see why that one might have a bit more legs to it, particularly when he's. You see people like McTominay going there and thriving. He must think to himself, God, if I could go there, imagine what I could do. You know, even if it was for 6 months, wow. Or he might even look at some of the low moves that happened, for instance, someone like an Anthony last January and go, look what that did for him. You know, in terms of getting people to talk about him again, scoring goals. That might be the thing he needs. But if you ask me today, is he going to go out on loan? I think a lot would have to happen for him to go. Certainly we would have to get replacements. I just cannot see us going, you can go out and then just not getting a midfielder. So I'm still.
Isn't it weird? Isn't it still kind of weird? Like the counter argument to the things with obviously like Antony and Rashford is like, do you see what happened next? They got kicked out of the team.
Yeah.
They're not coming back from that, you know, because the intention was to go find a new place for your whole career, not go out, do great. Because it's a bit weird to me. Like, you know, it's like, I know you're not playing a ton right now, but the team kind of needs you potentially. Imagine if Bruno gets injured or someone gets injured and suddenly you're an everyday player and you're saying, well, it's all right. Just replace me with some crappy loan from some random place that we don't have in mind because I want to go play somewhere else. It's not exactly, I know this might be an unpopular take, but it's not exactly a very team-oriented stance to operate in that way, you know? And I think that's why when players go out on loan like that, they end up leaving. It's not the same as like young players at 17 who've never played before, going out, getting some experience before coming back. It's quite different. United would need to replace him. And then you go, well, they have two choices then. Get a player who's worse or get a player who's better. And then you have no spot when you come back, you know, and either one.
Can you find that better player? You know, in January, that's, you know, we're talking about someone that people are rating like, oh, he's generational. You can just go find someone that's equivalent to Cobby out there. But could you maybe find someone that's better suited to what Ruben Amorim wants? That's the other part of it as well, isn't it? I mean,
but if it works out, then what happens when you come back?
Yeah, exactly.
Is there a comeback, or are you just gone then? You know,
exactly. Well, maybe that depends on where you go. If you go to a West Ham, no disrespect to them, you probably wouldn't want to stay there long term. You know, whereas if he goes to Napoli, maybe that's a bit of a different conversation, isn't it, about staying there long term, because it's about ambition. If it's just solely about playing, like I don't really care what the club achieves, the club I'm going to, then you could go to a West Ham of like I just need to play games. Like that's not really how they do in the league and how their long-term vision I don't really care for. But then speaking of the long-term
I
vision,
gotta say, something about it just doesn't sit right with me. I imagine like you're in a relationship and someone's like, "Oh, you're depressed right now. I'm gonna go date someone else for a few months, and once you're doing better,
hey,
I'll come back."
West Ham's
a
Cobby's
little
hall
weird.
pass, something like that.
Yeah, like
you
it's
can
a
go
bit
play for
weird
West
to
Ham.
me,
It's
like-
just it, I won't judge you for it. We never speak of it again. One of those ones. I mean, to be honest, speaking of like wrong, when I was doing the thumbnail, just seeing him in those other kits, it feels weird. That looks weird. Seeing him in a kit that's not
weird.
Manchester United, this just feels wrong. See him in those kind of kits.
And I don't want him to go. I don't want him to leave.
No.
Like at all. I think there is a future, but yeah. I don't know.
But then speaking of that future though, we say like, oh, wait a year. Are we confident Bruno's going to be gone in a year? Because it's the only way he's getting into the team, feels like, is if Bruno's going to go. And Bruno in his interviews is stressing a lot that like he doesn't want to leave. He definitely doesn't want to go Saudi. I think he was maybe hinting at maybe another European club could be of interest.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with that whole release clause thing. But he looks very, very settled. So even if Cobby waited a year, is Bruno going to go anywhere? And if he's competing with Bruno, how long is it until he gets into the team? That would be another concern, would it not?
Yeah, for sure. Albeit, I think if we had Europe next year, there's a lot of games. Bruno is not the same fitness-wise as he used to be. You can see it even in the 1 game a week. He fades. He's not going to be a 90-minute, 2-game-a-week player next season, and I don't think the club will have that intention, even if he does stay. I'm sure that will be something they consider. That's something that they think about. So I think if we're in Europe and he stays, there'll be plenty of games for him, because then it gets very flexible. Like then you have to think about the 10s. Well, they're going to have to rotate in 2 games a week, which means Bruno could move up there and Cobby. There's, you start looking at, I think I remember looking at City when they had all these forwards and midfielders and like attacking 8s. And at one point they had like 6 players, all who played like 25 games between like 3 positions. And you're like, well, that's kind of what happens when you get a really busy schedule and you need to rotate, well enough. So I think there's a lot of games next, because it's not like we have all these 10s and 9s either, right? And I think that goes under the radar a little bit, is like next season, you have Cunha, Mount, and Bumo. That's kind of it, unless you're taking people from other positions like Ahmad from right wing back, where we don't have one. We have a kind of a decent amount of depth, but not a lot in certain areas. Bruno will, if we're playing 2 games a week, Bruno's going to play in the 10 more. And that opens up even more space. Even if he was starting every game, I think you'd have a lot of midfield space for Cobby to come in there.
And it also depends on the competition. If we do make Europe, I mean, we say blanket Europe, but let's say we finish 7th, we were in Europa Conference League. You think, well, Cobby's going to probably, if he's
every game, I would say,
near enough every game in that competition. Same with probably Europa League. If it's Champions League, he might end up playing more Premier League games because
exactly. Yeah, it's a balance, and for sure, League Cup and FA Cups and all of them, he'll be in every. So, it is. There's a lot of games. I mean, we went from the situation, it's just a weird one. We went from the situation where United played more games than anybody else in football for like 5 years. Yeah. And now suddenly we have no games. It's just,
we don't play them.
It's awkward. It's just awkward.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think that's why sometimes we tie ourselves up in knots, because we're not sure what to do. We're so used to that perpetual cycle of just like result, whatever it is, good, bad, indifferent. Next one, European game, cup game.
There's always another game, another rotation, another player comes in. We haven't heard like a minute's complaint like this in years. We've had players like frozen out and stuff, but with all the injuries we've had, we've been begging for players to come back because we haven't had enough players. This is a very weird problem to be faced with for us.
Yeah. And actually, you mentioned with the injuries thing, because I mentioned this on the when I was doing the pre-match stuff at the weekend. Like, our record, we're like best in the league in terms of injuries. And my point at the time was, this isn't a fluke, because Ruben Amorim has a track record, and his coaching staff has a track record of getting injuries down. It's the same at Sporting. In fact, there was this article from The Athletic talking about it was one of the things Liverpool really liked with Ruben Amorim when they were looking at him.
It's one of the things he showed up.
But their sort of reason why they didn't think of going for him is they said it would cost maybe £400 million to buy all the players needed to suit
and then
the
they
system.
did it anyway.
Which is funny, because like you said, they did it anyway. But then you think of it United and you go, well, if that was their conclusion, that must have been Man United's conclusion. Well, you would hope it was a similar conclusion from Man
Maybe
United.
more, because they were a bit further ahead than us.
Exactly. Liverpool must have been like, we've actually got good players. United have been like, we haven't got many, and then we get into like wing backs and all this kind of stuff. So maybe from the start, it's always been this idea of, no, we know we don't have the players. You know what I mean? But when it comes to the injuries, people were then pushing back to me with this, saying, no, it's not because of Ruben. It's because we just got less intensity because we play a game a week. That's what it is. It's probably, obviously, it's got a part to play, but does it do a disservice to suggest that, oh, no, it's just because we've got one game, because that's the only reason we've got less injuries? I mean, we're best in the league for it.
I would go look at the start of last season when before the other competitions got going, we were picking up injuries left and right, including Mainoo. Last season, we had a lot of injuries to start the year. Even last season, when Ruben was here, we had a couple injuries, but there was the soft tissue injuries, which is the one he's usually referencing, like not contact injuries, dropped by half on his tenure per week or per month or whatever than it was before. So it has changed significantly either way. Even when we were in Europa, if you look at it, players were returning faster, and we weren't picking up as many, and now it's getting even more. And it's probably not just Ruben. I mean, it's Carrington. This is one of the things where Dave Brailsford and such did work on an overhaul of the whole medical department, and whatever one might think of him, this is an area he's an expert in, not football, but in the human body and medicine and health and stuff. Yeah. And they did a lot in overhauling all of that. Yes. Yeah. Then maybe there's something in the pies at Carrington. You never know. We'll see. But...
Get some inhalers. It's worked for others, allegedly, in the Premier League. Yeah. No, I agree. I think that is one thing. There's plenty of things I think you can criticize Ruben Amorim and Ineos for, but I don't think the injury stuff is one. I think the
fitness is better. It's
It's better. It is. For me, it's clearly better. If you haven't already clicked the like button, be sure to subscribe to United View if you are new. If you can hear noise in the background, you've got to remember yesterday was remember the 5th of November, fireworks. Yeah. Ugh. Now, whenever I talk to someone, they don't need a reason. They don't need an excuse. When it's like bonfire night and it's on like a Wednesday or something like that, that means Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, probably Sunday, maybe even Monday next week. There will be fireworks going because they cannot get enough of it. And it's one of those ones where when you sort of explain to people not in the UK why it's a thing, they go, what? What? You set off fireworks because someone tried to blow up Parliament like hundreds of years ago? Yeah. It's a thing. Yeah. Don't know why. But going back to Manchester United, this was quite interesting from Ruben Amorim today in his press conference, because it was something that actually I mentioned on the morning show, and it was something that was pointed out to him, was about goals conceded. Now, we've scoring more goals, higher XG, but we are still leaking goals. He was asked about these number of goals conceded. Ruben said it's a problem, especially if you see the league nowadays. The team is winning lots of games, is not suffering goals or shots on target, and that is a big game, especially when you have talented players. In one opportunity, you can score a goal and win a game, but I think it's more a team thing. We need to defend better. We need to be more aggressive, and we defend better when we have more energy. We have a lot to do and cannot suffer the amount of goals we are suffering, which we need to improve. He also said, we know that we have a lot to do, a lot to improve. We are capable and confident, but we know that we struggle in some games and we need to do better. What do you think about this conceding goals situation? Because you look at our goal difference this season, we are now in the positive, +1. I think it's
been a long time.
17 goals scored, 16 conceded. And it's quite interesting when you compare to the teams around us. So, for instance, we're playing Spurs on Saturday. They are 2 spots above us. We're on the exact same amount of points, 17 points in the Premier League. We've scored 17. They've scored 17. But we've conceded 16. They've conceded 8. They've conceded half the amount of goals that we have already this season. What do you put that down to? Is that a case of maybe, we didn't have our goalkeeper in at the start of the season, so those few games kind of hurt us? Is it, once again, this is why we need more midfielders in, because we're still a bit open, we can still, leak chances? What do you put all of this down to?
Probably a combination of the two things, because I think United cut down the number of shots they faced drastically from what it was before. It was like a massive number of shots, but a lot of big chances being conceded. It's definitely a problem. And it's sure at the beginning of the year, there was some stuff with the keeper and things like that and everything. But in the last 4 games, we still conceded 5 goals in the last. I guess that's not as bad though, you know.
I suppose
it's 5 goals in the last games, 4.
We've conceded 4 goals, haven't we? You know, the 2 goals against
now
Forest.
2 came when we're up 3-0, and the game state's a bit different, and it was like 2 set pieces. You know, a kind of silly situation. So I think it's been getting better with the change in goalkeeper, especially. I think certain things have improved, but I think a big factor is the midfield. Like we play Bruno and Casemiro because right now they're providing us the best chance to win with the ball, with what they do, with all of that. But it's obvious. You could see it, especially against Forest, that they could not keep up with the flow of the game, the speed and Forest were attacking, especially when they were getting it out wide really quickly. They can't get out there. They can't cover those spaces. So we're still liable to concede some big chances, I think, from things like that every game. And I'm not saying we can't minimize it. I think it's going to go down, but it feels like right now there's not going to be much by way of like systemic changes that reduce it. They just have to play a bit better. You know, when you look at the flip side of it, I know this is crazy, but this is our best attacking start to a season besides Jose's one, that 4-0 FC beginning, you recall, second season. Those are the 2 best seasons, this one and that one, attacking wise, that we've had since Fergie retired. Literally. I mean, we've been in the dumps on goal scoring and chance creating. We know that for like many, many years under many managers, especially to start the seasons. And sometimes we find a flow later. But so it's like, I think it's a bit of a trade-off right now is how they're looking at it, or how they might be looking at it. Score goals, but
it's a bit like, I remember when Ollie first came in and, we were free flowing, scoring goals. And then there was one point where he got worried about conceding chances, whatever. And then he just completely sort of stiffened the whole team up. And then that's when it got really, really tough to watch.
Well, Jose did the same that season. Remember that game I remember it against Liverpool, Anfield away. We just parked the bus, 90 minutes, went for a draw. And and we relied on David De Gea bailing us out for the rest of the season, and we just shut up shop because he felt like he didn't have the players to defend and attack.
Yeah, which I don't think, to be fair, I don't think Ruben will do. I don't think he'll do. I think he is tweaked and adapted as much as I think he probably would. You know what I mean, with certain aspects of things. So I don't expect him to, park the bus, that much. Or I think he'll be happy actually, because I am as a fan seeing the team creating more, and I feel better watching this team knowing that they can score goals, because I haven't felt that for a while.
It feels like we can actually come back into games and such. Yeah,
exactly. But what that goal difference says to me, 17 scored, 16 conceded, that says to me that is a team that cannot control games. That is a team that, even if they think they have control over games, it can just go like that. And that's what we've seen in the last 2, isn't it? Against Forest and against Brighton, which is we're 1-0 up, half-time, we think we're actually, we're in control of this. 5 minutes later after half-time, we're not in control of this game at all. Brighton, similar kind of thing, right? 3-0 up, we're in total control of this one, it's fine. Next thing you know, it's 3-2, and we're like, we don't have control of this game. We need to do something. And I think that, I don't know if that's going to go anywhere this season, to be honest. I think that maybe it might get a bit marginally better, so we're not going to be conceding 2 goals every game or anything like that. But I think that's kind of the next step for where we need to go. That kind of, all right, you are 1-0 up. Now can you control the game a bit more? Can you not let it slip away? Fortunately, we do have a quite resilient team, and we do have a team that can score goals. So even if we do, concede 2 goals quickly, we can go up the other end and score pretty much straight away and get ourselves out of trouble. But that will cost us this season. Definitely that will cost us. And it will be interesting to see if in January they do try and address that, whether that is with a midfielder, loan, someone like that. Or, I mean, it's interesting because even the stuff about wing-backs, according to, I think it was Laurie on the Talk of the Devils podcast, it's not even that much of a priority, which seemed a strange one to me. Surely that must be at least some kind of thinking if that's a priority.
It's definitely on their radar, but I think, they came in with a big plan, like a long, like they came in, looked at the whole squad and said, all right, these are like the next 10 things we need. Well, they haven't finished it, right? Because we obviously need 2 midfielders. And I think the way they'll look at it is we've got Dorgu, who we've just bought, and it's only been 8 months, and they're certainly going to give him more time, and they certainly haven't given up on him, as it seems some people
20.
have. Yeah, he's 20. I mean, but people have given up on him, it seems already, but they haven't. And there's some numbers and things like that show positive signs. And again, he's only 20, so the things he's not good at, you could imagine he could potentially grow in. But then they've got a bunch in the youth ranks too. They brought Diego Leon this summer as well. He's playing at the under 21s level now. They've got a few other. So I think they feel there's, they can't just panic and be like, well, shit, we've got to go sign a wingback today. When we have these options that could potentially come through, when you look at the midfield and you go, Casemiro out of contract end of the season, aging, Bruno aging, same thing at the back. Luke Shaw, he's healthy for now. Lissandro yet to come back quite yet. Maguire out of contract end of the season. Like, there's other areas where you go, we have to sign players in these positions. We don't even have a choice in a matter. And I think that's the main thing that goes into that kind of consideration of this. But yeah, it's I think it's like they'll revisit the areas of the team that maybe haven't come right once they're settled. And I think as well, once if Amorim can have a successful season, I think they'll be more willing to buy like specialists players, because it's a little bit of, it's a weird position, right? Like, do you buy a wing back, or do you buy a winger and convert them? Or do you buy a defender and convert them? Or do you just go out and get a wing back? And then what if you switch managers, then you don't use them? That's why they haven't really done that as of yet. So that's part of it too, I think.
Yeah, I think, like you said, we've got real potential, I think, for next summer, that the team could look radically different. The squad, actually, radically different. Like you say, you look at Maguire, Casemiro. I mean, I think the Casemiro one feels a bit more certain that he's probably going to end up going. I just don't see a scenario where he stays for less. Maguire, I do see a scenario where he stays for less, because he feels very much like Mr. Man United now, doesn't he?
And he's English, and it's like, why would you leave,
Settled. And he is actually, I know when I say this, there'll be people in the chat going, no, he's not. But he is kind of well-liked now. He doesn't have the same level of, this guy's just an absolute donkey. Because he's not starting every week, and he's not the captain.
No,
so
and we kind of miss him some games when he's not starting. Like against Forest, we probably don't concede those 2 goals if he was on the pitch.
Yeah, and if he can get his wage down, I do think he would be one of those ones that's like good to have around, good leader. It's just a case of, I suppose, what he wants to do with his career at that point, internationally. Does he want to carry on playing? I don't know. But you mentioned that, and obviously then there's the talk about Bruno. Does Bruno leave? And financially we're in better shape. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see where they go next summer, actually, with this whole United team. And hopefully at that point you got Europe as well, which did cost us targets, I think, last summer too. It was actually quite interesting. I don't know if you watched the Jason Wilcox interview when he was on the Inside Character podcast, and kind of confirming what had been reported, where he said, actually, this summer they were very calm. They knew who they were getting. They didn't really deviate from that list. They had the strategy. Last summer they didn't, because not everyone was in. So it was a chaotic summer that reflected a very chaotic season that was to come, wasn't it? And but do you think they would have changed anything for that? Because I'm not sure that they could have. From what Jason Wilcox was sort of suggesting, there's not too much more that they could have done that first summer because no one was there, so they just had to kind of wing it.
Well, it's not like, again, it's like you don't prepare the summer in summer, which is essentially what they had to do. Omar was only in July, and Ashworth was only in July, and they would have changed. Man, I mean, I don't think they really could have done more. I think all things considered, they did a decent job. Lenny Yoro, good player, great young player, good signing. De Ligt has come right. Mazraoui is a very useful player. Obviously, jury out on Xerxes and Ugarte at this point, but you can't get them 100%,
And also, they're probably on that. I wouldn't be shocked if they're both not here by the end of next summer.
And that's part of it too. They're willing to just say, boop, see you later, and move on quick, But 3 out of 5 isn't actually bad from a transfer standpoint. It could be worse. So yeah, I mean, I don't think they could have done much more just without preparation, really.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think when that was all going on, I don't think no one expected the season we were going to have last season. I mean, I know there will be the scholars that will say, yes, I did, and blah, 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 but I don't think anyone thought 15th.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
Yeah, surely not.
So.
In the same press conference, Ruben was asked about Cristiano Ronaldo, as I mentioned in the intro. Ronaldo talking to Piers Morgan. It's always like, wow, whenever I see a picture of Ronaldo next to Ruben Amorim, you just forget. Like, it's like Ronaldo's an old
almost
player.
The same age.
But also, Ruben's a young manager. You know what I mean? So it's kind of both. But obviously, Ronaldo said some stuff about United. To be honest, it was kind of similar to what he said in his first interview with Piers Morgan.
Yeah.
Just in 2025. But Amorim was asked about it because obviously the connection and he being the Man United manager. He said he knows he has a huge impact on everything he says. We know as a club, we made a lot of mistakes in the past. We are trying to change that. Let's not focus on what happened. We need to focus on the future. Let's focus on the way we are doing things. We are changing a lot of things. The structure, the way we want the players to behave. We are improving. Let's forget a little bit the past. So just forget it. Let's not talk about it. What did you make of those Ronaldo comments? Did that bother you at all, or did it even, register, or is it just, one of those things that the stuff gets said, but it's Ronaldo, so it makes the headlines?
It didn't really bother me because, and I think Ruben Amorim's answers to all of it was fine and, diplomatic and all that. It didn't really bother me, but what I was wondering is, like, I did feel it was a little bit, his first interview was obviously like very, very explosive. The timing, the situation, the circumstances was like, it was crazy. He was like, man, ripping about Ten Hag and this and that and all sorts of different things that went on. And, he'd also had at that time an extremely obviously emotional situation that had happened some months before in his personal life. Right. So it was very different. In this one, I kind of felt like maybe he wasn't paying attention to what's been happening at United. Because when he was talking about it, like nothing's changed. I was like, hang on, fella, like, it's actually, whatever you think about it, is a completely different club than when he was here. Every single person who was involved in bringing him back is gone. Every single person who's there was gone. I mean, they fixed the hot tub, they fixed the pool, they've redone Carrington. Like,
it's a different place.
It's very different, and you can't say that the club doesn't have a structure anymore. It does.
Yeah,
it's very explicit that it has a structure.
I agree. When I saw those comments, him saying, well, a good club needs a structure, I thought, well, that is one thing that has been attempted, to be overhauled. Obviously, I suppose not completely different club. This is still the same people that own the majority of it, and still the same people that sign off on these things. And I think that's what he's alluding to.
Perhaps,
I do go back to what you sort of mentioned there. That first interview, I think what has kind of been lost in that interview, or maybe it's a bit of revisionist history, is that it was kind of framed by some that he was doing this because he was like this martyr who was trying to, expose and shine a light on the Glazers and this, that, and the other. But we mustn't forget, it was a bit more self-serving than that. He wanted to leave, and he figured out the way to leave. That was the way to do it, go scorched earth, do an interview with Piers Morgan, which, by the way, he filmed the same day we had a match. We had a match, which he was not in the squad for because he was ill. And then there was this late goal. Garnacho scores at Craven Cottage. And we're like, oh, my God, amazing. And then next thing we know, we don't even have time to celebrate that. Picture of him with Piers Morgan. What is going on here? And then he leaves. In the same interview as well, he goes, look, I had offers from places like Saudi Arabia. I turned it down. I'm not going there. I don't know what you're talking about. A couple months later, he's in Saudi. So it's one of those ones where, yes, he did talk about, the things that needed to be spoken about the ownership, about the Glazers and this, that, and the other. But at the same time, it wasn't like this, I've just had enough, I've got to take a stand and fix Man United, It was a bit of both, to put it kindly, I think. It was a bit of both. This time around, like you said, I almost thought, like, has he spoken to anyone that's at United recently? Because it is a bit different, Maybe it's just a bit like, I know I do this sometimes with teams in other leagues in other countries. I just look at the league table and go, God, that's going bad there. And you don't really know you don't really know anything about it. You just go, I just must be going terrible. And you go, no, it's totally different. So, maybe it was something like that. But I did think it was interesting that Ruben very openly kind of admitted that he was right, though.
About a
with his
lot of the
comments
things
there.
from the past.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
going,
Well, and he
it's
was
true.
right. I mean, he was, and he talked about it. And I still to this day will say that some of the things he said in terms of attitude in the club and things
Yes.
like that are totally correct. If you watch the whole interview, I mean, Ronaldo's definitely did not make those comments out of the goodness of his heart. He's, I think it would be an understatement to call him a bit self-centered when you listen to the
Well,
interview.
it's Cristiano Ronaldo, isn't it? At the end of the
I
day, you know
know,
what I
like
mean?
it is, yeah, and he knows it, right?
Mm.
But yeah, but at the same time, he was correct. He's still a winner. He still does understand what it takes to win. I mean, narcissism and success tend to go hand in hand in some of these things as well. So he does understand what it takes to be successful, and he was right about a lot of those things. But I do feel as though I feel like he genuinely has no clue what's going on at United and hasn't spoken to anybody in ages about it, which fair
And why
enough for
would he?
him.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Why would he? And it was interesting to see Ruben also as well say, "Look, people are behaving better here now." And you go, "Oh,
Yeah.
I wonder who he's talking about there." And this is also the contradiction of Cristiano Ronaldo, who is the most disciplined and professional player, arguably ever, in terms of work rate, work ethic, small details, or whatever, but is also not the best behaved player ever, because towards the end he was so pissed off he left during a match.
I know.
So
Yeah.
it's one of those ones, isn't it? But then I suppose if someone gets the license to do that, maybe it is arguably the greatest footballer ever, right? I don't know. I don't know. It does make me wonder though, if Ronaldo was still here, what do you think would happen between him and Ruben? Do you think Ruben is a big advocate of playing CR7, or do you think he would maybe go down the route of Eric Ten Hag of like, bit old, you know what I mean? Can't really do...
Well, look at Casemiro.
That's true.
I'm not saying Casemiro and Ronaldo are the same, but they are close still. If he's talked to anybody, it's probably him, which is why, and Casemiro's been very complimentary of Amorim in turning, and helping him. He said last season was like one of the best of his career. A little like Jose's, finishing second was the best thing that I ever did, because he was talking about how he was able to kind of bounce back, learn what the manager wanted, change, and earn that and get the right to that. I think they would probably get along fine, actually, because I think despite what some people may claim, I do think Ruben is actually, we're not on the training ground, and this is part of what throws off a lot of the discussions, just tying it into the Kobe Mainoo thing is a little bit. There's a lot of evidence that Ruben will reward and award players based on what he sees as proper application, hard work, and things like that, and that you can earn your way back in. Like with Casemiro, he thought he was useless when he first came in. Useless, and was like looking to get rid of him immediately, and then made him an important part of the team. And same goes for others. Harry Maguire, there's Luke Shaw, there's a lot of players who've been able to earn their way into the team under him. So in that respect, I think what's that word for it? He even though we can't see it, and sometimes I even get really heated about it, where I think he's not getting it right in that respect. Maybe he's not getting it right always, but evidence suggests he will be willing to play anybody if they'll show proper application. And
yeah, which is something that he said, isn't it, as well? I think also as well with him, unless you've heard any different, from all that I've heard, by all accounts, within the playing squad and just in and around Man United, Ruben is actually very well liked there at the moment.
Yeah.
And I know it's easy to say when the person's in charge. Eric Ten Hag was well liked, even though like behind the scenes he wasn't.
Yeah, he definitely wasn't. Last time I did not hear he was well liked. So
yeah, exactly. Particularly towards the end and all that. But by all accounts of Ruben, even as bad as things were last season, he was well liked. And yes, he's had flashpoints of certain players, but also going back to him being well liked, I think actually the way he maybe handled those situations as bluntly and brutally as he did was actually made him more well liked with certain sections within the club as well. So I think he would have had a better relationship with Ronaldo than Eric Ten Hag did. I think the biggest issue between him and Ronaldo and Eric Ten Hag was a perceived lack of respect on both sides. You know what I mean? But particularly Ronaldo felt like Eric Ten Hag wasn't, didn't talk to him, treat him the way that maybe he should be, and also that's not just, with the fact of Cristiano Ronaldo's legacy, his history. I think that's just the character of how you handle him. Even Sir Alex, at the start of his career, handled
Totally
him
dealt with
very
him
differently
different to everybody else.
than other players.
Yep.
So I think that would be a situation there. I don't think, but then a Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, maybe they're related,
now,
so he would have been fine.
Oh my God! Did you see what a ridiculous thing? Honestly, like. Because when someone does an article or puts a piece out like that, you just go, "I know, we all know what you're doing. Everyone knows what you're doing." Like, and the thing is, as well, it's quite remarkable because it actually made people stick up for Dalot, which nobody's been doing. Most people are like, "Dalot, he's been playing rubbish. Does he get into the team because he's Portuguese? Probably. Probably plays a part of it. Also, you don't have a load of left wing backs. He's bad, but it is what it is." No one's now going like, "Oh, it's going to be playing because he's related, because they're great cousins or something like that."
Oh, it's hilarious, and it is funny because I was saying, like, if you look into, if people are from similar regions and you go back 5-6 generations, you're going to find a lot of people being related, especially in professional sports. Like, so many people are related in these businesses that if you just look into it, you will find that out as well.
And like you say, when it comes to, definitely from certain countries, but if you go back further enough or you go wide enough, then you'll find like a loose relation most of the time. I don't know, but I'm sure I've got people related to me like on the other side of the world that I have no idea about. 100%. You know what I mean? So it's not even that much. Oh, they're both Portuguese and they're loosely related. Okay.
And you have to think like great. You're talking hundreds of years. Like it's not like 50 years.
19th century circus performer or something like that.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, okay, well.
It was so ridiculous. And then the best part of it, and then it said, United sources have confirmed this is the case. What sources? Like, what United sources? Did you know you're two related? No. Well, here's the evidence. I guess we are. Go, oh, wow. Yeah, okay. Like, what is that going to do with your day? Nothing. What is that going to do? Apart from, like, when Dalot does something bad in the next game, it just gives people something to say. That's about it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's it. Sir Alex Ferguson, he had half of his family on staff, so, and they were direct relatives, not even like loose stuff. Yeah. So I don't know. It was such a ridiculous story. Wasn't it?
Yeah. Really, I mean, Dalot's been here, like someone's saying there since Mourinho, like give it a rest. You know what I mean? He's one of our longest serving players. It has nothing to do with Amorim and being related to him.
No, exactly. Speaking of, though, the Portuguese tax, Bruno Fernandes, I saw this. Bruno Fernandes has been nominated for the best FIFA Men's 11, joining some pretty impressive names in there. But also, it led me to thinking about Bruno, because you brought him up earlier on when you're talking about him getting better in that midfield role. He is always someone that, because this happened to him last season, in our worst season, he was still our best player. Last season, he started slow. And then he gets better, and he gets better. Is the hate for Bruno still in this central midfield position still a bit too much, do you think?
I mean, it's calmed down because we've been winning some games recently. You know what I mean? And like I had a lot of issues with Bruno being deep earlier on in the season and his play, because I just thought he was playing shit. You know, it was to me, it was less about where he's playing. I've never really cared. I think he was just playing shit. And I think that's kind of what we're seeing now, is that you're hearing less of, Amorim's picking Bruno deep because, we beat Liverpool away at Anfield with Bruno deep, and we beat Brighton with Bruno deep, and we beat Sunderland with Bruno deep. And so it's less of that.
Though? Is it just acceptance of like, look, this ain't going to change?
Isn't it just results? Well, yeah, to a degree. It's like you can get exhausted with it, but it's also like when you see it work, you start to go, well, I guess, maybe the manager knows something about this and he's got his reasons for doing it. But you also look at it and go, well, where else is he going to play? If you honestly look at it, you want Cunha and Mbeumo on the pitch. I mean, Bruno spent a lot of time at right 10 in years past, or, even right mid or right wing in years past. Now we have Mbeumo. Like, I hated it. I absolutely hated it when we did that. So, so I think it's a little acceptance, and it's also like, well, maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it works. And I think he's been improving as well, and deserves credit for that too. And and improving in that role, keeping it simpler and things like that. So, I mean, it's probably not much more complex than that, is it?
No, I think, like I said, I think partial it is a bit of acceptance. Like it's the norm now. When that team news comes out, I know that when I see Bruno, he's not going to be in the 10. He's going to be in that position. And look, he does it. He does it fairly well. You know, he still creates. He still scores goals. He's still involved. It's not as if him playing there means he's less involved in the game. He's still as involved as he ever has been. And actually, interestingly, when you talk about the 10s, you go, well, if I was going to sort of rank them in terms of they've got to be playing, so you go like Mbeumo, then probably Cunha, but then actually it's him and Mason Mount are pretty close. Yeah. And then Bruno, because he's not played in the 10 for so long, it's almost like he's not even kind of considered. You know, when you think about those people that could play there, you're like, well, could be Mbeumo today, could be Cunha, could be Mount. And if it's not, one of those three, maybe it might be a Kobe, maybe it might be a Xerxes. It feels so nailed on that it wouldn't be Bruno at this point that I don't even really think of it like that. And then, to circle it back to when we were talking about Kobe earlier on, who could do that role at the moment in that team better than Bruno? Probably nobody. Kobe's competing with him. You put Kobe in that position, he's not going to cover the ground that Bruno covers, and that's really why Amorim's got him in there. Yep. Ugarte, he might cover the ground, but he's definitely not going to do what Bruno can. My goodness me, be lucky if he gets a couple of passes off. So it's one of those ones where actually it would be interesting to see if we had a legitimate, proper central midfielder could play that position inside out and was good at it, like proper good, and had the qualities that Ruben's looking for. Not to say Kobe's not good, but had some of the qualities, distance covered that Ruben's looking for. Then what would happen with Bruno? Would Bruno still be playing that position, or then would Ruben be like, okay, maybe I do push him a little bit further forward and I've got some other options? I think that it's a mixture of Ruben thinks that Bruno's the best for that position, but maybe it's the best that he's got for that position as well. And it'll be interesting to see if that does change moving forward at some point.
I agreed. And I still look at the transfer strategy and go, we bought.
I was wondering if it was. I thought it was me. Yeah. I thought it was me, but it's not. I don't think it is. Are you back?
When you look at the I'm back. When you look at the plan, you're like, it kind of feels like we might be moving on from Bruno.
Yeah. Well, I don't.
It seems like I just look at the plan. You know, like if I look at the plan from the outside, I'm like, 2 10s, expensive, younger. They're gonna start. We want 2 midfielders.
Yeah.
Where's Bruno fit in this in the future?
But it looks like Bruno's, he's telling everyone he doesn't want to go anywhere. He doesn't want to leave, unless maybe it's a European club. Which I know that Bruno's got his haters out there. But what was the release clause? Like 52 million, something like that. It was not that much money.
It's affordable. Yeah.
Like even at this stage in his career, 31, 32, you could see a Barca or Real Madrid or a Bayern or a club in Italy. Maybe just let's see what happens. Let's see what happens with that.
Someone's leaving though. But like there's 2. Someone's going to be leaving, and I don't know. I like if you look at the way they've been rebuilding the team, Bruno is the wrong age to They're not going to build the team around Bruno. You can't.
But they gave him a new contract. What, a year ago?
But it wasn't that long. You go into this season. This summer. He's only got a year plus 1 left. So. They looked at that and said, we'll give you a few extra years, a little more pay. Well, it was almost like help us in the transition type of contract. And then what do we do after that? I still think he might stay on a reduced contract. Again, get another contract. I'm not saying he'll leave necessarily, but when I say move on, I look at it like diminished in a way. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't have to be the everyday main guy for forever. Like you said, if we had somebody else who could really do the role, where would he be? Maybe bouncing around a little more, maybe on the bench sometimes, maybe not the same importance because he can't be for too long regardless. No matter what he wants, he can't be. Project 2028 is the idea.
Yeah,
his contract's ending before that. So like
I had this thing the other day. I was like, it's November. I was like, It's 2026 at the end of next month. Like Project 2028. That's rapidly getting closer.
It's
And
approaching.
and I suppose it also depends what happens this season with Man United too. Like if we do qualify for the Champions League and we do go out and get a midfielder in the summer, then maybe Bruno just goes, all right, this season will be my last one. Like you say, aid the transition. I'm going to be needed for more games. Let's see how far we can go, kind of thing.
Maybe.
And then I might decide at the end of it. Or he might stick, and then maybe by the end of next season, he thinks that, I'll tell you what, maybe that Project 2028 is on. And I'd love to win a title, a Premier League at Manchester United. As crazy as that seems, I could be, almost Brian Robson-esque, win these like Premier Leagues right towards the end of my career, my end of my Manchester United career. Maybe do something like that. I don't think he leaves in the summer. I think he has at least one more year left.
Yeah.
Super Arch says, would be a horrible plan to build around Bruno at this stage. Just doesn't make sense. Yes, he has done a lot, but the future isn't in him. But I don't think United and Ineos are building around Bruno, though. I don't think they are. Not at this point. It doesn't feel like they are. But who are they building around then?
Do we have to build around somebody?
I was going to say, it doesn't feel like we're building around one player,
it feels a bit balanced, and maybe we'll need a new talisman later on, but maybe it already exists. Maybe it'll be Mbumo. Maybe it'll be somebody else. Maybe it'll be it's just being built, I guess.
Yeah, it's just been well, like you said, maybe the decision hasn't been made who to build it around just now. They're waiting for that one person to stand out, and they go, right, that's the one that we build it around, because we can't really build it around Bruno. We could have if it was 5 years ago, but it's not. And just very quickly, we do have Tottenham at the weekend. The early kickoff on Saturday. Last game before the international break. Our recent record against Tottenham is, in a very scientific term, shit. We can't win games against Spurs, obviously as recently as the Europa League final. But Spurs can't win games at home. They've won like 4 games or something at home in the last 12 months, 2 of which are against us, by the way, because our record's been so rubbish. Do we continue this sort of trend of doing things we haven't done in a while? Beat Liverpool at Anfield, beat Brighton. Yes, we didn't get the win at Forest, but we got something from that ground, which we don't usually do.
We lost like 3 in a row before that, so yeah.
Exactly. Do we right this wrong at the weekend, do you think?
I think so. 2-1 is my feeling.
Did the Champions League game turn your head a little bit? A bit of positivity for Spurs.
I just look at them though, and I go like, it's a hard question, because it's the same as I felt against Forest. It's like right now, and you look at Ruben's comments that you showed earlier, I do feel United probably beat 15 teams if they show up properly, because they have the better firepower, the players who can attack, the players who can score goals. They have the talent there now, in my opinion, to beat 15 teams if they show up every week. And one of them is definitely Tottenham. Like you can say on any given day, Liverpool, City, Arsenal, you can't say, oh, we could beat them if we show up. Chelsea are maybe in that debate, but the rest of the teams, I feel as though it's really just about how much we show up in those games. Mentally, we lose focus. If we put in the focus that we did against Liverpool, against Brighton for at least 70 minutes, we win. We just do. We win. And so it's hard to know if they're going to show up like that, But Spurs have been poor. United have been performing a lot better than them. And if you watch the games themselves, they have been better than them, especially recently. Spurs kind of started hot and have really fallen off. And it's the other way for United. So if they show up,
Yeah, and it's true, because I watched the Spurs game against Chelsea last weekend, because it was after the United one, and they were rubbish. They were really, really poor, and the crowd let them know it as well. Like towards the end of the match, they're chasing the game. They had a thing where like it looked like a free kick, and they got to pump everyone in the box. Then they went short and passed it back, and the pass was back. They were so bad. They were so.
And then they've got players with the manager and this like issues already, and I just it's all there.
But the difference is they have what we don't, which is that Champions League game, which has added a bit of positivity. They win, was it 4-0 against Copenhagen? And you can say it's only Copenhagen, but we struggled when we played them a couple of years ago, home and away. So I don't know, but I'm with you in the sense of this is how I felt going into the Brighton game, where I'm about this team, and particularly some of the players, our attacking players in particular. I'm a bit more optimistic that they'll show up. They can do something. I don't have to worry about Brian Mbumo showing up. I know he's going to show up. But Tejas Kuhn, I think, is growing into it. Ruben might go with Šeško. He might not. He might go with the whole.
Might go with Mount again. Yeah.
Yeah, the Cunha and Mount thing wouldn't be shocked by that. If anything, it might actually be the right call. Considering the importance of the game,
the pace
and the level
such too at the back there. Sometimes you need something different against Spurs. Yeah.
Exactly. So it might be something along those lines. But at the same time, Spurs set pieces. Thomas Frank maybe wants the extra height when it comes to Šeško. I wouldn't be shocked if Maguire's involved as well for that very reason.
Yeah, I think he will be. Yep.
So it's going to be an interesting starting 11, I think, from Amorim. But I'm with you. I think we just edge it. I don't think it's comprehensive, because I don't think we can kind of really do comprehensive that well at the moment. Like I said, we will lose control of the game at some point. Unfortunately, I feel like we probably will concede. Even though I think I don't think we'll be at fault for the goals. I think we'll probably just concede, probably from a set piece again. Considering what last 4 goals we conceded all been near enough set pieces, haven't they?
Yeah.
You know, the 2 against Brighton, free kick and a corner, 2 corners against Forest, right? So
basically, yeah. Well, crosses, they're kind of corners, kind of not, but off of set piece situations usually.
Same kind of style. So we probably will concede a goal there, but I feel we've got enough. I feel we'll win. 2-1. 2-1.
That's mine this week as well. Yeah.
Although Flex is at the stadium, which probably means we're going to lose. So, if you believe in that kind of stuff, I don't know. So there you go, guys. Another episode of Trafford Talk. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Big up to James from Uppertiers, as always. His info is in the video description below. You can subscribe. Go show some love. Are you doing a watch along at the weekend? I think you are as well.
Yep.
Yeah. That early in the morning.
Yeah, no pre-match though. I'm gonna get out, roll down, and
not the 2 hours before. That would be ridiculous.
No.
What is it? Is it cups of coffee before you start?
It just is. I'll set the thing up to brew so that it brews like 15 minutes before it goes automatic, and I just get going. Yeah.
Just get going. And hopefully it will be worth it and we'll get the result. Appreciate everyone tuning in. Shout out to James. Shout out to everyone that's got involved. And we'll be back same time next week, 7 p.m. on Thursday. We're out of here. Peace.